נהדר בקודש. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילו אוסף הלב, נורא תהילו אוסף הלב, אוסף הלב, אוסף He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like you, Adonai? He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like you, Adonai? He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like Adonai? He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like Adonai? He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like Adonai? He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like Adonai? He parted the sea, made our people free, put the stars in the sky for us to see. From the heavens above, always sending love. Who is like you, Adonai?
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. So good to have you with us. Welcome to Erev Shabbat from Temple Beth Israel in Pomona, California. I'm Cantor Paul Bush, along with Rabbi Jonathan Kupitz. We were listening to a little Micha Mocha preview since this is the seventh day of Pesach, traditionally the day that the Israelites crossed through the sea on the way to the freedom in the Promised Land. So we heard some Nefesh Mountain starting us off, and then Eric and Happy, and finally Lucy Greenbaum, all putting their own take on those ancient words from our Torah. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As Cantor Paul said, it is both Shabbat and festival tonight. It is the seventh day of Pesach, and for us in the Reform movement, it's also the last day of Pesach, with Pesach ending at sundown tomorrow evening. It also means that our service is a little bit different this evening. We don't have Lecha Dodi and certain things like that, and we do have Hallel and some additions for the festival. And of course, we are in the period of the counting of the Omer as well, which started on the second night of Pesach and runs until Shavuot. So we have that as part of our services as well. So I'm going to share with you our Sidur, and then we'll get started with Shalom Aleichem. Hold on, my sharing is not cooperating, but here we go.
Da 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 Shalom Alechem Malachei Hasharet Malchei Elyon Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bochem L'Shalom Malachei Hashalom Malchei Elyon Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu L'Shalom Malachei Hashalom Malchei Elyon Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yadadadai Yadadadai Die, 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 die. Ya da da die, 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 die. Seitchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malchei elyon, mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One more time. Yadadadai 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 Die, 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 die.
So tonight we bless the Shabbat and festival candles. So the blessing ends with the words Shel Shabbat v'Shel Yom Tov. And we are going to look at the candles there that are right behind Cantor Paul. If you have any at home, you can light them along with us, and we'll join in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Sorry, Rabbi, I'm not hearing you.
Thank you, Cantor. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine. Thank you.
Great. So because we do not have L'chad Odi this evening, we are going to move in just a moment into our evening service without the introductory pieces and into Chatzi Kaddish. But before we do, I still want to take a moment to let everybody take a breath, to reflect on this week of Pesach, as we joined in welcoming Passover on Saturday night, just after Shabbat last week, to reflect on each day, on its challenges and its blessings. Now we're going to continue with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei V'chayechon uv'yomecho uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman Kariv Veimeru Amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mivarach Le'alam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha berichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma v'yimeru
We rise in body or in spirit for Baruch Hu.
Lai la la lai la lai la la lai. Lai la la lai 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 lai. Lai la la lai 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 la 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 lai. Lai la la lai 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 lai. Lai la la lai 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 la 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 lai. Lai la 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 lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed.
last 3 lines in the Hebrew.
El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu, le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hamaril, haravi.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. And we're going to pick up with Ki Hem Chayenu.
Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nega yomam ve'layla ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Continue with Ve'ahavta. If you have a book at home, we're on page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi v'tzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
So as we mentioned at the beginning of the service, according to Jewish tradition, it is the 7th day after leaving Egypt that the Israelites crossed through the sea. And And so the Torah reading for this seventh day of Pesach is Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea, which, of course, our Micha Mocha prayer is a excerpt from, or pieces of it are out of Shirat Hayam, out of the Song of the Sea. So we'll sing here Micha Mocha, our song of freedom, our song of transition, our song of birth. Really the birthplace of the Jewish people. And then Cantor Paul will share a video of Miriam's song.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nohora tehilot osefela, Nohora tehilot osefela. Yeah, bye, 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 yeah, bye, 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 yeah, bye, 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 yeah, bye, 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 ay, 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 yeah, bye, 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 ay, 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 yeah, bye, 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 bye. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokeyam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, Zehelianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yam bye bye bim bye, yam bye bye bim bye, yam bye bye bim bim bye, ay bye bye bim bye, ay 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 ay, yam bye bye bim bye, ay 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 ay, yam bye bye bim bye, 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 ay 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 ay, yam bye bye bim bye, ay 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 ay, yeah bye bye,
Yeah, bye-bye.
yeah bye bye,
Yeah, bye-bye.
yeah bye bye,
Yeah, bye-bye.
yeah ba 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 bye.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Bye.
Bim bye. ונאמר כיפת אדוני את יעקב, וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
One which sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. so she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom, march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. When Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle. We're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
We continue with Hashkivenu as we ask the Holy One to watch over us, to let us lie down with a sense of wholeness, to rise up with a sense of purpose each and every day.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Vehamidenu shomreinu Ufroz alenu sukat shlomecha ushmot zetenu uvoenu Ufroz alenu sukat shlomecha ushmot zetenu uvoenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechayim Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom Aleinu ve'al amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim
We give thanks for Shabbat with the words of Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Israel et hashabat lasod et hashabat lidorotam berit olam Ve'ni uvein b'nei Israel oti leolam oti leolam Veshamru b'nei Israel et hashabat asod et hashabat litor אותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, עשו את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, עשו את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Now turn to our tefillah, to our Amidah prayer. We rise in body or in spirit. We try to take a little time, create holy time and space for ourselves, both in the words of these first few prayers and also in the text of our heart that follow.
Adonai, Sefatai Tifta, Ufiaki, Tehilatecha, Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Reah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Baruch Shemo.
Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take a few moments for silent prayer for the text of your own heart, and then we'll have a musical offering from Dr. Randy Polavoy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom to everybody out there. The theme of Eliyahu Hanavi, or Elijah the prophet, is that we are imploring the prophet Elijah, who is an invited guest at the Seder table, to return with the Messiah. And after the Passover meal, we open the door traditionally, as many of you all did during the Seder, for him, and we drink a fourth cup of wine. So this is a song you all probably know for many times singing it, not only for Passover, but for Havdalah, Eliyahu Hanavi, and feel free to sing along as the Spirit moves you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Polavoy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are now going to recite the words of Hallel. We're actually going to recite the words of a very abbreviated Hallel made up of the blessing over Hallel and then Psalm 118. Hallel is a series of psalms of praise that are recited on holidays, special occasions. And so we'll recite our abbreviated Hallel now.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu לקרוא את ההלל. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמרנה, יאמרנה ישראל, כי לעולם חסדו, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמרו נא, יאמרו נא בית אהרון, כי לעולם חסדו, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמרו נא, יאמרו נא יראי אדוני, כי לעולם חסדו, כי לעולם חסדו. Let all who revere God's name now say, ki leolam chasdo. Let praise to God, for God is good, ki leolam chasdo. Hodu ladonai ki tov, ki leolam chasto, ki leolam chasto. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, berachnuchem mi beit Adonai. Eliata ve'odeka, Elohai aromemeka. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasto.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Wonderful to be with you, to share some Shabbat with you on this Shabbat, seventh day Passover. The children of Israel had barely left Egypt, their belongings on their shoulders and the flatbread in their pouches, when they find themselves, them and their children, in mortal jeopardy. Before them lies the expanse of the Red Sea, and behind them, the Pharaoh filled with anger and remorse at letting the Israelites go. The Egyptian king was leading an Egyptian army against the Israelites, and they would either be destroyed or returned to slavery. Despite the many miracles wrought for them while in Egypt and the extraordinary release from centuries of bondage, the Israelites respond to the approaching army with understandable fear. They are trapped between a sea and an army. They feel completely vulnerable. It is an existential fear which descends upon a truly terrified people. How Israel emerged from this trauma and how we grew and developed as a people is embedded within this narrative. Moses' response to Israel's sense of panic and dislocation was expressed with a sense that Israel needed reassurance and some sense of safety. Their panicked reactions as they were greatly frightened, crying out to the eternal, their morbid sense of impending doom, as the text says, was it for want of graves in Egypt that you brought us to die in the wilderness? And they're striking out with anger against Moses, as the text says again, What have you done taking us out of Egypt? Are all part of expressing this existential fear. Israel does not know how to understand its circumstances as a people, doesn't really have an identity. They had an identity of slaves. We weren't slaves now. Who are we? As the text says, let us survive and we will serve the Egyptians again. Because that is all they know. That is all they understand, all with which they can identify. So what does Moses do? He says to the terror-stricken people, have no fear. Stand by and witness the deliverance which the Eternal will work for you today. God tells Moses that in order for them to face their fear, Israel must go forward. Moses must show the way by lifting up his rod over the sea until it is split. Israel needs not face the enemy without, but just as importantly, the enemy within, the fear within. And Israel vanquishes its own fear by walking through the sea. According to the text, during the night, a pillar of cloud stood between the sea and Egypt. Israelites in between. There is no movement. And during the night, the Midrash, the rabbinic commentary, perceptively describes the Israelites in fierce discussion as to what they ought to do and how to proceed. It's a scramble of emotional thoughts and suggestions. Some wish to return to Egypt. Others wish to fight the Egyptians. Others wish to drown themselves by jumping into the sea so that the Egyptians will not be able to capture them. By morning, a decision had to be made. Moses lifts his rod over the sea, and as the Torah puts it, and the Israelites went into the sea on dry land. To which the Midrash asks, if they entered the sea, why does the Torah say on dry land? And if on dry land, why does the scripture say into the sea? It's either one or the other. The answer lies again in the lesson that the people needed to move forward under the guidance of Moses. The Midrash says that the verse implies that the sea did not split until the waters reached their nostrils. Then the sea split into the sea and then on dry land. The relief of having survived created a community joined in a song of celebration. Israel had left slavery behind. Looking back at the devastation wrought by the returning sea over the Egyptian army, they saw the elements of faith and courage rise within themselves. The hand of God on the seas and the shoreline and the wisdom of Moses' leadership. And they gained new trust in Moses and in God. But not for long. Several days later, when Israel found itself without water to drink in a wild and dry wilderness, their old fears, their old resentments would rise again. Once again, they complain bitterly. Once again, they cry out against God. The song at the sea was a musical, prayerful interlude in the ongoing process of becoming free people. It would take generations to slip the bonds of loss and anguish, fear and dread. It would be a requirement to tell that story, not to forget, to tell and retell the narrative to one's children, to relive the Exodus, and to insert it as a constant reminder in the daily liturgy of our people. We have some other days of commemoration coming forward in the days ahead, April 8th, 14th, and 15th. We remember and memorialize once again the Jewish people's collective trauma on Yom HaShoah, on Holocaust Remembrance Day. We remember Israel's profound losses in war on Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day. And we remember and celebrate the extraordinary moment of Israel's rebirth on Yom HaAtzmaut, on Israel's Independence Day. The seventh day of Pesach, of Passover, when we read the Song of the Sea, it ends the holy day with a song of celebration and with the message that we must never forget where we came from and how we got here. We must keep telling our story, the story of the Exodus and the story of our people, which continues to be a story of trauma and challenge, of redemption, of hope, and of transcendence. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. We're now going to turn to our prayer for healing as we turn our thoughts to all of those in our community in need of healing of body, of mind, of spirit.
Mi sheberach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah Hu Yivarech et HaCholim Elna Rifana Elna Rifana La Elna Rifana Elna Rifana Lo.
We ask for blessings upon Rebecca Gilman, Bela Pasternak, Hannah Fields Austin, Sue Tobak, Alicia Goldfarb, Paula Steinbach, Rosin Lefkowitz, Helen Weinfeld, Gabrielle Silton, Pam Poliakoff, Connie Shapiro, Kathy Blumenfeld, Gloria Austin, Caitlin Antrim, Judith Bosworth, Kathy Brewster, Stephanie Holland, Jennifer Rudin, Susan Grohr, Charity Razorday, Ed Ansell, Marion Snyders, Kimberly Zimmerman, Lori Snyder, Brad Holland, Isley Holland, Mike Klein, Beatrice Caden, Meg Silton, Henry Gerard, Kirby Perkins, Brenda Found Gerard, Serena Postal, Nancy Brewster, Bobby Kay, Bonnie Stead, Marilyn Freeman, Robert Strober, Ava Bespris, Marilyn Lubarski, Joe Kummerman, Char Alpert, Carol Sage, Flo Cohen, Ira Quatcher, Ellery Einstein, Ken Mitchell, Patricia Kramer, Joey Kubel, Jeff Klein, Ed Portnoy, and Arnie Roth, and all of those who are in your heart.
Elna Rifana Elna Rifana La Elna Rifana Elna Rifana Lo.
It is another month in our secular calendar. So everybody who has a birthday in April, we'd like to sing to you and offer you a blessing. And we hope that your birthday and this year is one filled with good health, filled with good health, filled with connection to family and community and love and blessings, all that is good. Here we go.
Yom Huledet Sameach, 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 Yom Huledet Sameach. Amen.
Now we'll offer you a blessing from our tradition to each of you on your birthday.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and may God keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light shine into you and through you to others. May God always be compassionate unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'achem lecha shalom.
May God and all that is good be present in your life. May you find shalom, wholeness, and peace in your heart, in your community, and may you join with others to bring our world closer to wholeness, peace, to shalom.
Amen.
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 And now it's time to count the Omer.
Woo-hoo.
So each night, between second night of Passover and the night before Shavuot starts, we count the 7 weeks, but we count them day by day and then also week by week. This period from freedom to covenant, from freedom to responsibility, that we are freed from Egypt. We are free in our lives for a purpose, for a life of service. And so we move from freedom to commitment. And during these days, we reflect on different opportunities for improving ourselves, so that when we stand at Sinai again on Shavuot, metaphorically at least, that we stand at Mount Sinai on Shavuot, that we can stand there with a full heart and a full embrace of our covenant. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer.
Hineni mukhan umzuman lekayem mitzvah aseh shel sfirat haomer. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer.
Holy One of blessing, you hallow us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer.
Hayom Shisha Yamim LaOmer.
Tonight begins the 6th day in the counting of the Omer. Now I'd like to call upon Candy Fisher to share some announcements with us. Hi, Candy. Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom. And thank you to Rabbi Kupitz and Cantor Bush for tonight's service. Also, I'd like to thank Randy Polivoy for his beautiful Eliyanu, which adds so much to our Shabbat's experience. I'm going to highlight just a few of the programs and services coming up this week. Starting tomorrow, the 7th day of Passover and Shabbat service will be on Zoom from 10 to 12 noon. And in the evening, we have our Zoom Siyum Havdalah for the conclusion of Shabbat and Passover, starting at 7:30. On Monday, the Jewish Federation's Yom HaShoah program runs from 7 to 8:30. And on Wednesday, Zoom Siyum, again through Temple Beth Israel, runs from 6:45. The Adult Jewish Learning class coming here, Jewish Immigration to Israel, starts at 7:15. Also coming up in the next couple of weeks, we have the Brenda Rosenfeld Scholar Series on April 16th. And we welcome Rabbi Moshe Waldock, editor of the Big Book of Jewish Humor, to our virtual Bima. I'd also like to give a shout out to Deborah Klein, our own librarian in Temple Beth Israel's outstanding library. It is now open, offering curbside pickup and return. It's an amazing library, so I encourage you to take advantage of it through Temple Beth Israel's website. You can find her reference. So refer to these and other services coming up at Temple Beth Israel via your weekly e-blast, the monthly kahila, or by going to our website at Temple Beth Israel Pomona, or excuse me, tbipomona.org. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach.
Thank you, Candy. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach to you. Cantor Paul, do you have anything that you need to add or want to add?
Just want to add a couple little details for Monday night's Yom HaShoah program, which I and along with a half dozen of my fellow cantors and musical professionals from our area synagogues have the honor of having been asked to participate in. If you do want to join us, which I, of course, encourage you to do, along with the JFED players doing some very moving staged readings, you can go to the Jewish Federation website at jewishsgpv.org. And if you register there, you will get the link to join us online for that. Links are also available in our TBI emails and on our TBI website to join us for that. Rabbi, I don't know that you mentioned yet, but we do have services for the seventh day of Passover tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. On Zoom and on Facebook, but we would appreciate you joining us on Zoom so we can see you and we can you can participate with us. I'm sure we'll have some interesting discussions about the crossing over from dry land to the promised land, and we will also have Yizkor memorial prayers and lots of other things to look forward to, including Reb Moshe Waldach's 2 weeks from tonight. Wow, time flies.
Thank you, Cantor Paul. We're now going to move toward the conclusion of our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach. I'm going to share my screen again so you can see the text.
Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Latet Gedula Leotzer Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kigoyei Haratzo, Velo Samanu כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים, ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We now turn our thoughts to those who have been important in our lives and have left this earth, those who have died in recent days or at this time in years past. Remember the recent deaths of Lynn Krinsky, Shirley Panietz, aunt of Harriet DiBasilio, Gary Sachs, brother of Sharon Sachs Regalado, Irma Singer, aunt of Marilyn Lubarsky, Deanna Kaufman, wife of Isaac, mother of Amir, Erez, Ilan, and Oren, Douglas Austin, husband of Liz Fields, father of Hannah Fields Austin and Lexi Fields Austin. We remember the Yortzites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Yonatan Begin, Harry Brock, Gerald Geffen, Nancy Cast Gordujo, Morris Grossman, Stella Isaacson, John Martinez Sr., Henry Leo Mullen, Nancy Neubergorge, Harry Pritikin, Johnny Roth, Jack Warshaw, Pearl Zeidel, Jeanette Aberman, Barbara Deutsch, Mark Dumhowski, Ruth Esposito, Edith Gass, Abe Lasky, Theodore Rich, Ted Snitzer, Peter Vidoff, Edith Clayman, Stephen Rodman Ross, William Van Grove, Bernard Glickman, Rabbi Earl Kaplan, Dorothy Krupnick, David Meyer Lieberman, Libby Lieberman, Stephen Reiner, Samuel Rotman, Elise Santomaro, Louis Trackman, Lena Vitoff, Louis Friedman, Mary Groban, Russell Hamlin Sr., Larry Levinson, Mordecai Levy, Betty Lou Nelson, Abraham Nemtso, Clara Schifris, Roy Seidler, William Strussman, Faye Toker, Albert Zaki, Edward Katzman, Morton Savadair, John Paul Sloan, Nathan Stephen, Michael Dale Wendell, Bell Cohen, Lewis Cohen, Perry Dubin, Jan Aline Goldhammer, Herbert William Goldman, Sarah Leah Goldman, and David Pontak. And of course, all of those who you hold in your heart and mind. And we join in the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalahu v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah v'varach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei d'kudusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be a blessing. We're going to close with Biyado, and then we'll stick around for Kiddush and Motzi.
Biyado av kidduchi, bein ishan ve'a'ira, be'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo yira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo yira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. Beyado of Kidduchi, Bein Ishan ve'a'ira, Be'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo yira, Be'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira.
All right, we're going to get ready for Kiddush. I'm going to just switch here to different texts so I can share since people are less familiar with the festival Kiddush text. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romamanu mikol lashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava Shabbatot limnucha u'moadim lesimcha chagim uzmanim lesason Et Yom Chag Hamatzot Hazeh Zman Cherutenu Mikra Kodesh Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu Vacharta Veotanu Kidashta Mikol Hamim V'Shabbat U'Moed Kodshecha Be'ava Uvratzon V'Simcha Uvsason Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat V'Yisrael V'Hazmanim L'chaim.
L'chaim. Take a little bit of yummy challah. Oh, yummy matzah. Here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz Shabbat shalom v'chag sameach.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach. Join us tomorrow morning at 10 for our seventh-day service with Yizkor, 7:30 p.m. tomorrow for Havdalah. Hope to see you all soon. Take care. Lihitraot.
Shabbat shalom, Chag sameach, lehitraot. See you tomorrow, which is really still today in the